Here is a number that has never been matched and almost certainly never will be. Between 66 and 70 million copies. That is the estimated worldwide sales figure for Thriller, the range existing because the album was released in 1982 when global music sales tracking was not the comprehensive real-time data system that streaming has since produced, and because the album has continued selling steadily in every year since its release, in every country that sells music, to every generation that has discovered it and found in the discovering, that the distance between 1982 and the present is not sufficient to diminish what the album is. No album in the history of recorded music has sold more. Not before Thriller, not after it. Not in any genre, in any decade, by any artist. But here is what the number does not tell you. The number does not tell you that Michael Jackson was 24 years old when he made it. It does not tell you that he made it in the specific focused fury of someone who had been dismissed by the institution whose recognition he sought, and who had converted that dismissal into the most productive anger in the history of popular music. It does not tell you about the night of May 16, 1983 at the Pasadena Civic Auditorium, when a television audience of 47 million people watched a young man do something with his feet that none of them had ever seen before, and that none of them would ever entirely forget. It does not tell you about the Pepsi commercial, the fire, the scarred scalp, the pain medication prescribed to manage the burns. The beginning of the end started in the middle of the greatest beginning that popular music had ever seen. This is episode 3, the peak, the moonwalk, the night the world changed, and the accident that set something burning that would take 30 years to extinguish. The recording of Thriller begins in April 1982 and proceeds with the specific intensity of a project whose participants understand, without speaking it aloud, that what they are making is not simply the follow-up to Off the Wall, but the complete statement of what Michael Jackson and Quincy Jones are capable of when given everything the situation requires. The studio is Westlake Recording in Los Angeles. The team that assembles around the project is the finest collection of musicians and production talent available in American popular music in 1982. Session players of the highest caliber, engineers whose skill is matched by their understanding of what the project requires, songwriters whose contributions are selected by Quincy Jones, with the specific editorial intelligence of a producer who knows the difference between a great song and the right great song for this specific artist at this specific moment. Michael arrives at the sessions with a specific set of creative demands that Quincy Jones has learned, through the Off the Wall collaboration, to take seriously rather than negotiate around. He has opinions about the material, which songs are right and which are not, where the album should open and where it should close, how the individual tracks should be sequenced to produce the specific emotional arc that he wants the full album to describe. These opinions are not the demands of a difficult artist asserting authority for its own sake. They are the judgments of a musical intelligence that has been absorbing the craft of popular music since childhood, and that has, by 23 years old, developed a comprehensive understanding of what makes a great pop record that very few people in the industry can match. The songs that will become Thriller arrive through the collaboration in the specific way that the best albums are assembled. Not all at once, not according to a predetermined plan, but through the process of making and assessing and making again that the studio enables when the participants trust each other sufficiently to be honest about what is working and what is not. Billie Jean arrives first as a bass line, the specific, instantly recognizable pattern that Michael has written, one of the most famous bass lines in the history of popular music, that establishes itself in the first 4 bars with the authority of something that has always existed and has simply been waiting to be discovered. He writes the song about a woman who claims her child is Michael's son, the specific paranoia of fame, the particular vulnerability of a famous person to claims that cannot be easily disproved, the specific human cost of a life in which every person's motives must be questioned. The lyrical content is autobiographical in the sense that the specific anxiety it describes is genuine, drawn from the actual experience of living the kind of public life that Michael Jackson lives. Quincy Jones initially does not like Billie Jean. He finds the bass line monotonous. He argues against including it. This moment of creative disagreement, the producer's ear resisting what the artist's instinct is insisting on, is resolved by the specific authority that the outcome eventually provides. Billie Jean will become the album's signature track, the song whose 7-week run at #1 on the pop charts will exceed anything the era produces. Quincy Jones will later acknowledge, with the specific honesty of a producer who has been wrong about something important, that his initial resistance to Billie Jean was one of the most consequential errors of his professional judgment. Beat It is the album's experiment in musical boundary crossing, a rock-inflected track that incorporates Eddie Van Halen's guitar solo in a moment of genre collaboration that the music industry of 1982 does not anticipate, and that the audience receives, with the enthusiastic recognition of people who did not know they wanted this, and now understand that they did. The Van Halen solo is performed in a single take on a night when Eddie plays it as a favor, not fully understanding that he is contributing to the best-selling album in history. The collaboration produces, in the finished track, the specific energy of two musical worlds colliding with the right kind of productive friction. Thriller is released on November 30th, 1982, and the response, immediate, global, total, is unlike anything the music industry has previously experienced. The album does not simply sell well from the beginning, it accelerates. The first single, "The Girl Is Mine," a duet with Paul McCartney that the industry initially reads as the lead single from a pop crossover album, pleasant and commercially calculated, does not prepare anyone for what follows. Billie Jean is released in January 1983 and changes the conversation entirely. It's 7 weeks at #1, establishing the commercial dominance that will make Thriller the defining commercial event of the decade. The music video for Billie Jean is the first video by a black artist to receive regular rotation on MTV. This fact requires its full historical weight to be understood. MTV, which has been operating since 1981 and has become the dominant promotional vehicle for popular music in America, has been maintaining an informal policy of racial exclusion, rotating pop and rock videos by predominantly white artists while declining to air videos by black artists regardless of their commercial standing. Michael Jackson's manager and CBS Records president Walter Yetnickman threatened to pull all CBS content from the channel unless Billie Jean is added to rotation. The threat works. MTV adds Billie Jean. The video, Michael in a white suit moving through a world where every surface he steps on lights up, the visual language perfectly calibrated to the song's specific mixture of glamour and paranoia, reaches an audience that the channel's prior exclusion had prevented from accessing his work. And the response is the specific, explosive recognition of an audience encountering something it did not know it needed. The Moonwalk happens on May 16, 1983. The occasion is Motown 25, Yesterday, Today, and Forever, a television special celebrating Motown Records' 25th anniversary, broadcast on NBC and watched by 47 million Americans. Michael performs with his brothers as the Jackson 5 for a section of the special, and then he performs alone. He sings Billie Jean. And at a specific moment in the performance, a moment that has been planned and practiced and refined through months of rehearsal, he slides backward while appearing to move forward, his feet performing a movement that the human eye receives as impossible, that the nervous system insists is a violation of what bodies can do. The Moonwalk. He does not invent it entirely. The street dancers of the Los Angeles funk scene have been developing the move for years, and Michael has studied their work with the specific, comprehensive attention he brings to any technique he wants to incorporate. But what he does with it on the Motown 25 stage, the specific timing, the specific context, the way the slide backward emerges from the performance as a complete expression of the song's paranoid grace, is entirely his. The move becomes, in the memory of everyone who watches it, the moment that separates before from after. Before, Michael Jackson, former child star, current hitmaker. After, something that requires a new category. The 47 million people watching understand immediately that they are seeing something they will not Forget. The phones at NBC ring for days. The fan mail arrives in quantities that the network has not previously experienced. A cultural moment has occurred, not the kind that the media announces and then reassesses, but the kind that the audience itself validates through the specific quality of its response, the inability to stop talking about it, the compulsion to describe what they saw to people who were not there. The Thriller video is released in December 1983 and redefines the possibilities of the medium in a single 14-minute statement. The concept is Michael Jackson's a horror film within a music video, the specific genre of the zombie movie claimed as the vehicle for a pop song, the 14 minutes of narrative and spectacle that transforms the music video from a promotional tool into an art form in its own right. He approaches John Landis, the director of An American Werewolf in London, whose specific skill with horror comedy is exactly what the project requires, and the collaboration between the pop star and the horror director produces something that neither could have produced alone. The production is elaborate in ways that music video production of the era has not previously attempted. The costume design, the choreography of the zombie sequence, the makeup that transforms Michael and his dancers into the undead, the narrative structure that frames the video with a cinema within a cinema conceit that gives the 14 minutes the shape of a short film rather than an extended advertisement for an album. The budget is unprecedented for a music video. The result justifies every dollar. The Jehovah's Witness faith produces a complication that the production must navigate. The horror content of the Thriller video, the zombies, the supernatural imagery, the specific visual language of a genre that engages with death and the occult, is in direct conflict with the Jehovah's Witness prohibition against involvement with such material. Michael is genuinely distressed about this conflict. His faith is real, his commitment to the community genuine, and the awareness that the video is producing content that the community would prohibit is not a casual concern, but a serious moral difficulty that he addresses through the mechanism available to him. He adds a disclaimer at the video's beginning. Due to my strong personal convictions, I wish to emphasize that this film in no way endorses a belief in the occult. The disclaimer is, in the context of the video that follows it, almost comically insufficient. 14 minutes of the most elaborate horror-adjacent imagery in the history of music video cannot be substantially modified by a text card at the beginning. But the disclaimer is genuine. It is the specific, sincere attempt of a person of faith to maintain his integrity in the context of a project that his faith prohibits, and to do so in a way that does not require him to abandon the project. The video premieres on MTV in December 1983 and produces a response that the channel, which has never before aired anything comparable, is unprepared for. The making of Thriller documentary, a 40-minute behind-the-scenes film that sells for $29.95 on VHS and becomes one of the best-selling home video releases in history, extends the cultural penetration of the Thriller world beyond anything an album has previously achieved. People who have already bought the album buy the documentary. People who have not yet bought the album buy it after watching the documentary. By the spring of 1984, Thriller has produced 7 top 10 singles from a single album, a record that will stand for 30 years. The Grammy Awards of 1984, having delivered the specific institutional failure that produced Thriller, now deliver the response that the work demands. 8 Grammy Awards in a single night, the most ever won by a single artist in a single ceremony. The child who watched other children play through bus windows accepts each one at the podium with the specific, complicated satisfaction of someone whose answer to dismissal has been so complete that the dismissal itself is no longer visible in the rearview mirror. January 27, 1984, the Pepsi commercial shoot at the Shrine Auditorium in Los Angeles. Pepsi Cola has negotiated one of the most lucrative endorsement deals in the history of advertising. $5 million for Michael Jackson to appear in a series of commercials that will associate the brand with the most culturally dominant figure in the world. The commercials are being filmed in front of a live audience with the specific production scale of an event rather than a commercial shoot. Pyrotechnics are involved. Michael descends a staircase on set during the 6th take. The pyrotechnics fire prematurely. His hair catches fire. He does not notice immediately. He is in performance mode, the specific state of total focus that live performance produces in experienced performers, the state in which External stimuli are processed differently than in ordinary consciousness. He continues moving down the stairs while his hair burns. Members of the production team reach him and extinguish the fire. He is taken to Cedars-Sinai Medical Center. The burns are to his scalp, second and third degree across a patch at the crown of his head, the specific painful damage that fire to the scalp produces. He is treated, he recovers. The recovery is real, and the scars beneath the hair are real. The Pepsi settlement, a reported $1.5 million donated by Michael to the Brockhaven Hospital Burn Center, is real. What is also real, and what will become the most consequential consequence of the January 27th fire, is the prescription. The pain from the scalp burns is genuine and significant, and the medical management of that pain, the specific, powerful analgesic drugs that burn treatment requires, introduces Michael Jackson to the pharmaceutical management of physical suffering in a way that his previous medical experience has not. He is given Demerol. He is given other opioid analgesics. The drugs manage the pain with the effectiveness that opioids provide, and they produce, alongside the pain management, the specific experience of pharmaceutical ease, the softening of every edge, the specific warmth and comfort that opioids give to bodies and minds that are experiencing distress. He is 25 years old. He is the most famous person in the world. He is the son of a man whose approval he has never reliably had and who has told him his nose is wide. He is a Jehovah's Witness who has just made a horror video that his community prohibits. He is a man who has spent his entire life performing for people who need something from him and who has no reliable model for being a person rather than a performance. The pain medication addresses the pain, and it addresses something else, the specific, biographical, accumulated weight of being Michael Jackson, in a way that nothing else in his life has addressed it. Not completely, not permanently, but sufficiently that the addressing is felt and noted and will be sought again. The fire on the Pepsi set burns out quickly. What it ignites takes 30 years to exhaust itself. Episode 4, Neverland. The fortress built to replace the childhood, the friendships with children that the world could not understand, and the first allegation that divided everything into before and after. This is Legends of America.